Thank you, you guys. Because in addition to, drug testing people that receive public assistance, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how you stop drugs. You give people drug tests and you make them go to treatment centers that don't work. And that's how you deal with drugs. It's a perfect way to deal with drugs. But the other ways and the most damaging way in which this wayward ass government under both Republican and Democratic leadership have tried to address drugs in the form of the war on drugs has been to put people who are in possession of drugs and people who sell drugs in jail. And the three strikes you're out in the 90s was crazy. The mandatory minimums in the 90s was hella crazy. And I saw this story literally today and I was like, I said that can't be right. I said I didn't read that right. I said, that is that looks like a mistake. Surely that cannot be correct. Oh kids, was I wrong? Here's the headline coming from what is this? CBS Austin. This is out of Texas. It says Kingsland man gets 99 years and a $250,000 fine for meth possession. 99 years. Let's see, we do the math here. 100 minus 199. This man got 1 year short of 100 years in prison for meth possession and a $250,000 fine. Guys, I'd like for you all to meet 29-year-old Daniel Limon. Daniel Limon is a Texas man, and here's the article. So it says a Kingsland man has been sentenced to 99 years and a fine of $250,000 for possession of marijuana, according to a district attorney, Sonny McHale. No, McAfee. Yes, Sonny McAfee. Daniel Limon, 29, was found guilty by a jury last month of possession of over 40 grams of methamphetamines with intent to distribute. Okay? So here's what they actually caught Daniel with. So he was convicted of possession of over 40 grams, but actually, according to the statement from District Attorney McAfee, Clano County deputies had discovered over 2 pounds of methamphetamine hidden under a speaker box in Limon's vehicle during a traffic stop. Now, I want you guys to stop right there. Okay, wait, hold on. Don't stop right there. It said Limon fled on foot before being apprehended and arrested in a nearby neighborhood. So, you guys, 29-year-old Daniel Limon was pulled over for a traffic stop by am I saying that right? No, it's Llano County, Llano, Llano County, Texas. Y'all familiar? Daniel Limon was pulled over by Llano County deputies for a traffic stop, right? So, and they found 2 pounds of meth in his speaker. And then he ran. What Daniel didn't do, Daniel didn't shoot at the police. Daniel wasn't even found in possession of a gun. Daniel, in fact, is not accused of doing anything violent whatsoever. I am curious why police even stopped him in the first place, because all it says in this article is a traffic violation. But we know oftentimes law enforcement will use the guise of pretextual stops to gain entrance and access into a motorist vehicle in order to further additional searches and search for contraband. Now, in this case, in this case, they hit gold, right? But we know overwhelmingly, statistics tell us this, that these pretextual stops usually don't yield in anything close to this, right? So these cops kind of got lucky, but did they get lucky? My suspicion is someone, I feel like somebody dropped a dime on fucking Daniel because okay, let me get back to the article because it says during the during the trial's punishment phase, evidence was presented of Limon's two previous convictions in Llano County. Oh damn, he got caught in the same spot. For in Llano County for manufacturing, oh pardon me, not manufacturing, for methamphetamine possession once again. So he had got caught twice before in Llano County for methamphetamine possession and possession with intent to distribute. So they kind of hit Daniel here with the three strikes type sentencing, right? It says Lano being he was released from parole, which he was still on when he was when he was committing the current offense. Okay, he was still on parole. Okay, I don't even care that he was still on parole. I don't care that he was on parole, guys. I do not care this man is on parole because there's several things about this case in particular which I literally just found today, but I still have lots and lots of questions that don't really make any sense to me. So first of all, again, Daniel Limon, there's what was reported and what's not being reported. So here's my thing. If Daniel Limon was a violent felon, they would have said that. If he had violence in his past or was convicted of anything violent, even arrested for anything violent, that would have been included in this. If he was somehow undocumented and was in the country illegally, which it does not appear that he was because he appears to be a Texas man from fucking Texas, right? If he was undocumented, that would be in here, right? If he had given the cops any real guff in a physical sense, if he'd have fought the police, if they found a gun on Daniel when he took off running, all that shit would be in here. Okay? So I need to understand why, though a convicted felon, convicted twice before for meth possession and possession with intent to distribute, but no violence, I need to understand why this man is in fucking jail for 99 years. 99 years. 9 years. I need to know who is served by putting this man in jail for the rest of his life. When he didn't hurt, kill, harm anybody. So okay, I hear all y'all, not y'all, but I hear the fucking the peanut gallery. Well, he was a drug dealer. He's poisoning his community. He's probably facilitated a number of drug overdoses. You don't know who that man killed with his drugs? That's correct. And then leads me back to the Sacklers. Okay. Now here come my Sackler analogy. Let that into the chat. Because I see Daniel Limon, 29 years old, getting sentenced to 99 years in jail for possession of 2 pounds of methamphetamines. Let's be clear. 2 pounds of methamphetamines. This motherfucker did not have 2 pounds of fucking plutonium. This nigga did not have 2 pounds of goddamn uranium. I don't know how they did it, but they found me, Marty. Run for it, Marty. No. Daniel wasn't out here hustling fucking weapon grades uranium out this bitch. This nigga had 2 pounds of meth. Big fucking deal. But to the point that his drugs might have killed somebody, well, the Sackler family, the people who helped to manufacture and create OxyContin, the hillbilly heroin, the opiate prescription drug that it was proven that the pharmaceutical company primarily owned by the Sacklers helped and encouraged their sales associates and their doctors to prescribe the shit out of this fucking opiate, and let's get these pharmaceutical drug addicts popping. And the Sacklers got to pay a fine. The Sacklers got to pull out their checkbook. The Sacklers got to make some donations. The Sacklers got to basically let their money write their exoneration, right? Daniel Limon obviously doesn't have the Sackler money. Daniel Limon, and to Daniel's credit, do you know how much fucking meth Daniel would have to sell to equal or rival the amount of addictive opiates that the Sacklers and their entities and corporations and their minions and their underlings? Do you understand how much meth Daniel would have to sell to even come close to the amount of new addicts and people who overdosed and eventually died from the offshoots of Oxycontin and the like? How come they ain't in jail? Ain't nobody even talked about putting them in fucking jail. That shit wasn't even on the table for discussion. Jail? They ain't going to no fucking jail. They get to write a check. Daniel Limon gets 99 years in jail. And here we go, you guys, with this disparate justice system, right? For the riches, the rich don't even have to worry about doing no drug test to get no whatevers, no cash assistance, because they don't need it. Who cares if they overdose in the streets? Just let the riches overdose. And I know it's paradoxical and contradictory and all these things, but and on the supply side of the drugs, if you poor and you hustling drugs because number one, you good at it. Number two, because it actually pays the bills instead of whatever the fuck passes for a wage in Texas, which I'm certain is probably not a whole lot, right? The real question for Daniel is how can we redirect these skills, my nigga? Like, I feel like there's got to be a milieu, a middle between Daniel running meth up and down the highway and then Daniel doing 99 years in jail. In jail. And this is the whole point. Like, jail doesn't serve our society. It's not a productive function of how to address society's ills. I don't believe that this man, and trust me, let me please not find out that Daniel is actually a real terrible person out here just because they sell. I've never looked at drug dealers as intentionally bad people, right? I feel as though sometimes drug dealers, unfortunately, are making the best out of a shitball situation. And let's keep it a whole fucking buck. Okay, the drug supply industry, legal and illegal, is something that's always going to make money in America. Okay, Americans do drugs. Okay, we do drugs. We do a lot of drugs. Americans are somewhat particular about their drugs. Americans looking for the good drugs, if at all possible. So the drugs, this idea that we're ever going to get illegal drugs off the street, baby, it is supply and demand capitalism. Don't you understand? Capitalism. Don't you understand that better than anybody? So long as there is a demand, a supplier will arrive on the scene and fill that service. But of course, capitalism knows that. Of course, America knows that. But how else are we going to fill these prisons unless only we're exploiting the economic hardship of Black and brown people who sell drugs in order to survive? Okay, I don't know 100% that is the case with Daniel Limon. I would imagine coming out of jail, having been imprisoned twice for selling drugs, I would imagine that his job prospects were probably a little tough, right? Um, Not an excuse, but a reality of the situation. So this is what happens. This is how recidivism, so-called recidivism, happens, right? People go to jail, they get arrested, get in trouble, get permanently marked with this record of incarceration, and then they get stigmatized, they get discriminated against, they get ostracized in some cases, and people are very reluctant to give them second chances. So sometimes they just go back to what the fuck they knew how to do, right? I suppose in Daniel's case, it was to run that meth up and down the street. But again, I feel like somebody dropped a dime on Daniel because Daniel seemed to be pretty clean out here, right? The fact that the cops had to go into inside of his speaker to find this meth, that tells me that Daniel's floors was clean. All Daniels, the glove compartment was clean, glove box was clean. What else was clean? Trunk was clean. Daniel was There ain't no dummy out here. Daniel was by and large trying to be on his shit out here. But I feel like somebody dropped a dime on Daniel. How the fuck else would the cops know to look in the goddamn speaker if everything else is clean? Y'all just brought the dog out. I wouldn't see again. That's a detail that I think may have been included if a canine officer was responsible for such a drug bust. They usually like to credit, the canine officer, Timmy, whatever the fuck. They usually always like to credit Chopper, the dog, for his good work. But so that's what I'm saying. Somebody dropped a dime on Daniel, told the Lamos County deputies to look in that speaker box. Daniel is out here riding dirty. Go get him. But you guys, I'm sorry, 99 years for drug possession is cruel and unusual. It is a hallmark of this criminal injustice system that is quite content to literally throw people's entire lives away because of their response to their economic condition and the response to this country being drug thirsty, right? Like it's almost kind of like a sick like a sick tease, like a sick twist, right? There's such a market and an appetite for drugs here. You can easily start selling drugs and then here come the cops wanting to throw you in jail for taking advantage of the situation, for doing what the capitalists do on Wall Street, to do what the capitalists do in their offices and in their, in their boardrooms. Regular people can't take advantage of the system in that way. And that's another reason why we got to burn the system down. This shit is not being applied fairly across the board. Poor people are being made to take the brunt for all of this. Poor, black, and brown. So there's that. So fuck the war on drugs. Joe Biden is one of the architects or one of the um mantle holders. I mean, he wasn't the architect, but he was what they do. He helped to expand it and embolden the war on drugs with the crime bill. And this is the kind of shit that we can expect under Democratic leadership, under Republican leadership. And that is why it's important that we get our hands on the system. We're gonna watch Trump and them burn it down. We're gonna watch while Trump and the J6 hostages. We're gonna watch Trump and the rest of the J6 hostages burn the shit down, and we're gonna swoop in and create the shit better. Well, we gotta protect ourselves, obviously, from Trump and the J6 hostages, because they're gonna be coming for us next. But my point is, you understand what I'm saying. The vision for what is possible and the way that we can handle this, the way that we can deal with people transporting drugs, manufacturing drugs, doing drugs, dying from drugs, the whole state intervention, punitive conditions attached to addictions, and making sure that people are given unfathomable drug sentences is something that absolutely needs to go away, needs to be abolished, it needs to be burned down.